Okay, everybody, you see on the board your key points that you're going to be quizzed on over Chapter 11. I want to also tell you, if you watch this, you'll know, and this will help me with knowing that you watched it. I want you to respond to this with at least in the response in the assignments or in the chat. I want you to respond with at least 2 key points from this video and 1 question that you would have from Chapter 11. We're going to be doing this for these videos for the remaining chapters in the semester. Okay, Chapter 11 is about marketing. The key point that you need to make sure that you get is on page 284, and that is that marketing is much more than just advertising. Marketing is all of the things that it takes, all of the activities that it takes to get a product from the producer into the hands of the consumer. Okay, it's not just the advertising. That's a key part of it, but there are other parts like packaging, processing, shipping, distribution, and advertising and all the things that go with that too. Those are all marketing activities. All right, also I want you to make sure that you are aware, and we've already talked about them in class, or will talk about them in class, on page 284, and 285, the 4 different types of utility. Remember now, when you have a product, you are trying to do everything you can to, first of all, know what your customers want. You cannot effectively be successful in business. You can't be successful in business unless you constantly know what your consumers want. Okay? And part of that is market research, which, by the way, is on page 287. Talks about test marketing, talks about surveys and how they should be done, things like that. But also, you have to find ways to provide utility, which is usefulness. And that has to be a key element of what you're trying to give to your customers if you're going to market effectively and have a successful product or a successful business. All right, and along with that is something that's called the marketing mix, and that is on page 290 over to page 293. There are 4 P's: the product, the price, the place, and the promotion. You've got to have the right product in the form that customers want. You've got to have that product at the right price that they are willing to pay. You've got to have that product at the right place. You've got to distribute effectively. You've got to make sure that it's there at that place when they want that product, when the consumers want that product. All right, and then promotion, which we've already talked about. And we've talked about before in class on multiple occasions. If you don't get people to know your name and your product and become comfortable with those, then you're not going to be successful. And so all of those things go into it, but promotion and getting people to know who you are, you must do that effectively. All right, we got a couple more things. Make sure you are aware that products go through life cycles, and that's on page 294. And the life cycle is important because you market a product differently depending on what stage it is in its life cycle. When you're introducing it, when it's in the introduction phase of the life cycle, you have to flood people with information and with your name so that they get comfortable with it and get to know it. And then when it gets on through the growth stage and in the maturity or decline stage, you've got to do different things to try to get people interested in your product again, or to let people know that you've upgraded or changed your product so that it will again be something that they want and need. All right, and then another part of marketing that we've already mentioned, it's on page 297 in Chapter 11, is channels of distribution. It's very important, especially in today's global economy, that you have channels of distribution that are effective, both in terms of getting the product where it needs to be on time and cost effective, because you're probably shipping products long distances. and that you want to make sure you don't spend too much money doing that in order to be able to continue to have a chance to be profitable. You can see diagrams on the bottom of page 297 that include different stages or phases in channels of distribution, like starting with the producer and going straight to the consumer. That would be one. The internet is now considered its own channel of distribution, because you can go, you can eliminate the middleman, the wholesaler, so to speak, go straight on the internet, buy, and get it delivered straight to you. Okay, some of the older channels of distribution that it used to go from manufacturer to wholesaler to retailer to consumer. Wholesalers is the middleman, as I mentioned before, and they are not something that is very prevalent anymore. That's more older, although it still does exist. Manufacturer to retailer to consumer is another channel of distribution that still has a fairly high degree of popularity. All right, and then the last thing is on page 298, and that is e-commerce. And you have to be aware of e-commerce in today's economic world, and that's anything that is bought or sold online, and the initiation of the transaction is online. And obviously, as you're aware, there's a lot of that. So you have to be aware of e-commerce and its impact on the economy. The impact on the economy is very great in terms of the amount of money that's generated for businesses from online sales. That's a significant part of our economy now. Okay, there you go. Make sure in your response to Chapter 11 you give me 2 key points that you write down, either in a chat response or in a response to this assignment, and 1 question that you would have. I will grade you on that. That's part of what you're going to be doing for each of these chapters now that we're getting back to using the videos.